No, we don't need to leave it to the Teslas or the Dysons of the world to come up with innovations to change the world. Sure, they make a big difference to our lives, says serial innovator Neville Christie. But so can we all, each one of us as individuals, if we're keen to create a better future for our children and our children's children. Neville has stressed the importance of innovation for years, and now he's a driving force behind a growing community of innovators who, one step at a time, are reimagining the world for the better. It's called Innovation Squad. Collaboration is key, and its time has come in a world facing so many challenges. In fact, Neville tells Heather Dawson, given the complexity of issues facing the world right now, he'd like to see a complete rethink about what innovation means. What's he saying?
I think the mindset about innovation generally is that most people tend to think it's a business activity and, it's about making profits and it's about products and services and technology. But really, innovation is about creating anything new that people use and makes life or work or the cosmos better. So under that, I'm arguing that in this time of enormous change and transformation, and we can look at that a bit more if you like, every single one of us now needs to step up and be an innovator. That is, start looking at things afresh, because so much of the old way is being wiped out by climate change, wiped out by certainly the COVID, look at the changes that occur, wiped out by technology, by all the various warfares that are occurring. So this is a time that every individual, every organisation, every business, small, tiny, large, needs to innovate, I believe.
And I think it's a good idea to have a refresh on innovation because it has become a bit of an overused word in recent years, hasn't it?
Yes. So I link innovation and creativity together. And one of the things that fascinates me as a psychotherapist is that if you go back and look at any child up to 6, 7 or 8, it's absolutely staggering. Every single child on this planet, you and me included, we could do every creative activity that exists. We painted, we sculpted, we made mud pies, we had imaginary friends, we told stories, we played doctors and nurses, we wrote plays, we made up poetry, we sang. It's staggering. Then we go to school and it's more left brain, read and write, arithmetic, logic, sit up straight, obey the rules, arrive at 9, leave at 3 or 4 or whatever. And that sort of somehow perverts that creativity, but it's still there. And part of what we're doing in the Innovation Squad is taking people back into that fundamental, natural, inherited creativity and then looking about how that can be used to change the world and change their lives for the better.
Okay. Well, tell us about the Innovation Squad then. What are you looking to achieve here?
Well, the Innovation Squad is a global, I'll put in brackets, movement or a cohort. It's centred in a number of cities around the world. It's actually a direct response, first of all, to global warming and then secondly, COVID. And it's a cohort of people who have been innovating and entrepreneuring for many, many years, but that they've actually gone beyond that and have started to codify, document, turn into workshops, into platforms that everybody can access to innovate. So the Innovation Squad is 3 things. First of all, it's a cohort of expert innovators. Secondly, it's a series of platforms and tools and techniques so that every single individual and organisation and business can innovate. And thirdly, it's a virtual meeting place where anybody who wants to innovate, who has an idea or needs a way, can meet.
So it's global?
It's global.
London, New York, where are these expert innovators?
Well, it's growing, of course, but various places in Canada, the United States, London, Tel Aviv, Hong Kong, Melbourne, Sydney, several cities in China, Malta.
And can one group like this really make a difference?
What a question. The Innovation Squad has been tapping into some very, very significant research into 200 social or political or economic movements that have made a huge difference. And this research has found that there are 3 organising principles that groups use to make a big difference, and there are 4 levers, and we're using all 7. So the 3 organising principles is, first of all, go back to the grassroots, go back to every concerned citizen as a potential member of the innovation squad. Secondly, form cohorts, decentralise, go out into existing nodes of innovators and help them to rethink and rework. And thirdly, a centralised organisation. So we're about decentralisation, but we're acting as a central facilitator. So we're using those three organising principles that have been shown to make massive differences around the world. Then the four levers, if you like, that get productivity and make things happen quicker. The first one is technology. And of course, in today's world, and we found this through the pandemic, didn't we, with the ability to Zoom and our wonderful little mobile phone. If you think of it, in our hands, we now have the whole world coming to us and we can connect with the whole world. That's staggering. So technology is the first. The second is legal, the law, or government initiatives. So one of the things is that I'm chairing a company called I4 Connect, and it has 25 facilitators because we are the Australian service delivery partner of the federal government to deliver accelerating commercialisation grants. So that one organisation has a very large impact and a large effect. The third sort of lever is communications in various sorts. So like talking like this, getting out and about. And the fourth is using money and resources as a lever and a stick. So we have access to venture capital, to other resources, and we have methodologies we've developed where we can create resources out of nothing. So 3 organising principles and 4 levers. Yes, a small group can have a massive impact as long as it decentralises.
So practically speaking, though, Neville, how does it work? Do you spot innovators in the business world and ask them to join, or do they find out about you and come to you saying, can I share this, or can I get some help, or money, or whatever?
Yeah, great question. So 2 basic things. First of all, the squad is evolving, and it's basically me going out and inviting people who are innovators, who have done it, who have got it, and who have got techniques and tools to pass on. And then secondly, through all sorts of things, LinkedIn, messages like this, and the viral network works. I just find it fascinating that you cast your bread upon the waters, if you like, and the people who are ready to hear and make contact.
Now, you've said that the squad's core business will be STEEP, STEEP.
Yes.
What's that, Neville?
Yes. STEEP is just an acronym for social, technological, ecological, economic and political. And I'm approaching my 80th birthday, so I've been around and I've been entrepreneuring and innovating seriously since I was 12. So in some ways it's a bit crazy that at this age I'm still driven to be like Doctor Who, who keeps rejuvenating, renovating himself.
Not surprising to people who know you, though, actually. But anyway.
Fundamentally, I'm saying that even though every decade that I've lived, people have been saying, this is the worst time, we're going through massive change. I honestly believe this decade is proving to be the most significant decade since probably the second industrial revolution in terms of the amount of change, the significance of it. And it is social, technological, ecological, economic and political. So fundamentally, you will find every survey says people no longer trust our institutions. They don't trust the politicians. They don't trust business. They don't trust the banks. They don't trust this and that and the other. So there is a huge need for transformation, innovating our total fabric, our total structure, our institutions. And that's one of the tasks of us as innovators.
Now, why is the SME market important in bringing about change, Neville?
Right. Again, not only, but also I want to say that I think in this world we either face the fact that we become victims because there are so many forces, or we step up to innovate. But of all the people who have practiced innovation in the world, the biggest cohort are SMEs, small to medium enterprises, because they started with an innovation. Then they had to learn and grow and change, or they didn't survive. So as a natural group of people who we are seeking to lever and invite them to transform themselves, SMEs are one very important group.
Can you give us any examples of how a simple idea can have a global impact?
Oh, yes. Well, many of them at the moment. The simple idea that a white policeman knelt on a black man's neck for an extended period of time and there were consequences of that. We don't call that an idea, I guess, but an action. Look what happened. I mean, suddenly that spearheaded a whole movement around the world, and something like 260 nations around the world had street demonstrations. The idea that I am a totally talented individual rather than the idea that I'm a victim and I can't do anything and it's up to the government, that's transforming, really. Like, that spreads around the world and makes... Look at that marvellous young lady, Greta Thunberg. Look at the impact that young lady has had. Look at what's happening around the world in terms of women speaking up for the years of sexual and political and economic abuse they've had, you know. That idea has taken a long time to gestate, but look what it's happening. It's just rippling around the world, isn't it?
It is. But look, to join your innovation squad, Neville, what should people listening to you now, what should they do?
Right. Well, I guess it's up to them to decide that they would like to, of course, but we have 3 entry platforms, if you like, that they could contact. The first is theinnovationsquad.com, and that's a place where we are putting opportunities and ventures out there and ideas out there that people might like to pick up. It's also a meeting place, a virtual meeting place where people can come and say, hey, I've got this idea, I'd like to innovate, I need these resources, can you put me in contact with da-da-da-da-da? So that's a virtual market, if you like, of innovation. The second one is flippingflipbooks.com. I chose the word flipping because it's got a number of
connotations. Yes.
And that sort of tickles my fancy just a little bit. Flipping Flip Books is becoming a place where we're posting 200 flip books. Now, a flip book is like an ebook, but it's sort of like a magazine online. It has plenty of visuals. It has links. You actually can flip it. You can turn the pages. So we've got the first 5 posted, and we're now building, up to 200. So flippingflipbooks.com. And the third one is that there are 4 major innovation journeys that people undertake. The first is the startup journey of someone who has an idea and they start up a new venture. The second one is people who are already in business or already in an organisation or an institution, and they say it needs to be transformed. So that's the second type of innovation journey. The third type is where people say, hey, I've got an existing business or enterprise or organisation or career, but I realise that the future is much more about collaboration. So collaborating together is the third innovation journey. And the fourth, perhaps the most important, is the inner journey of personal transformation and mastery. So we're putting all that knowledge around the world together on a site called, interestingly, forinnovationjourneys.com. So any of those are entry points.
That's Neville Christie, veteran entrepreneur, serial innovator, and now a driving force behind the new global collaborative community, Innovation Squad. And those entry point platforms again that Neville's just mentioned for those interested in finding out more, theinnovationsquad.com, flippingflipbooks.com, and forinnovationjourneys.com.